Hey, Dr. Rowe here. Hope you're well. Just setting up the camera there. So I don't have a lot of time, but I want to address this subject. It's, I think, something that a lot of people are looking for at the moment, certainly searching on, and that is understanding body language. I think as we grow up, we're often told, oh yeah, you need to understand people's body language. Did you see their body language? Did you see how they react? And people go, I think so. We're very good at reading overt body language, stuff that grabs our attention quickly and we go, oh, did you see what happened there? But what we're not so good at is the subtle body language. And I thought I'd just share a few key important elements here. I've been in this field for 35 years. And over those years, not only have I been able to present to audiences and work on a one-to-one basis in small groups, even down to like intimate coaching in this field, but I've been able to show people in an instant how to read somebody quickly. We just ran an event just recently where I think most people were shocked. Just within a matter of minutes, I was able to tell, for example, if somebody hadn't proposed to their girlfriend in terms of their marriage. But more importantly, the fact that maybe that could be a challenge in the relationship. And as crazy as that might appear, you have the ability to do it. So body language is massive. Now I'm going to put some things on the screen here and you might want to make some notes here. So the first thing is this. Studies have shown, and this goes back to a really famous study whereby they looked at three things. They looked at the tonality of the voice, the words people were using, and the physiology that somebody was using, i.e. the body language. And that's body language from the feet, the torso, and the shoulders to the head. And I think a lot of people don't realize this, but we basically give clues away in how we react to somebody. First of all, with what happens below the hips. The feet are a massive telltale. But when you're watching somebody on Zoom, for example, you can't always see that. The next thing is the kind of middle area of the body, so the torso up to the shoulders. What's that doing? Is it going into the camera? Is it going away from the camera? Are there little tense contractions or expansions in the conversation? And then, of course, there's the head, and there's massive tells that go on down to micro expressions of the eyes. So all of that is physiology. Now, I think for a lot of people, because we're so in our heads and we're engrossed in getting things right and making sure that all the technology around us is correct, checking our phones, we don't always watch the other person. So I'm telling you now, 55 to 60% of the impact of your communication comes down to the physiology of how you carry yourself. But of course, if you flip that the other way around, watching somebody else's body language, you should pick up a huge amount of information about how they're responding to you. And if you have the skill set to do it, when I teach this to people through the CWI process, communicating with impact process, we go through and look at all these different components, and I get people to watch. And in the process of watching, and I show them what to watch for. So, oh my gosh, did you see that? Like, if you ask a certain question, which way does their body move? Or which way does their face move, their mouth move, the eyes, the breath, did it go in or out? Was it held? Was it a breathing out? All of this is part of that process of physiology and the body language that we communicate without saying a single word. So that's really important. Second thing is, what's the application of this? Well, in reality, you can apply this anywhere. But surely you can't apply this like on an online presentation. Actually, you can. Because if I'm giving a presentation to a camera, to a group of people that I'm not actually in front of, I can still use my body language in a certain way to get the impact across to you. So I can use it to communicate with an impactful message, but equally I can use it to watch somebody remotely on a Zoom call, live to live, face to face, one to one, in front of a group. How's my audience reaction? Over there, she didn't like what I said. He loved it. She's leaning forward. She's more trusting. That person's not at all with me. I mean, I can literally monitor 100 people and get a completely different vibe from everybody. Or maybe part of the group is in rapport and in synchronicity with me, and part of the other group isn't. So, for example, if you're a speaker, this is an amazing tool to be able to create the ability to implement. And when I teach this from the communication system, this is in the them part of the CWI process. And if you don't know what that means, I strongly recommend that you go and take the test. I think I've sent the link here. Anybody can take the CWI test, which is free. It takes about 6 or 7 minutes. The output from that may throw you into the area of the system that is about them. And then it will narrow you down to a specific component in the system. And if you can find out what that is, that may show that you're not great at, for example, observing and reading body language. And so you need to know that. So what the test does, it gives you the ability to go, okay, so I kind of get this, but is this an area I need to work on? Or it might be an area I need to focus in on. And the test will give you the output from that. You get a video from me explaining a little bit about the output, which is great. So application can be anywhere. personal, private, professional, big stage, small stage, one-to-one, any situation on an intimate level as well. The consequences of not knowing how to apply this on a personal level, relationships, your kids, if you were able to understand their body language and express yourself with a different way, different energy, different enthusiasm. Imagine how you connect with them. What about your partner? If for years and years and years couples start to drift apart and they've gone numb to the body language of the other person, they switch off, they disengage, become disassociated. Not healthy in relationships. From a job perspective, imagine being in a job where you have the ability to read people's body language, even your boss, for example. You're going for maybe a pay rise, or you want to get promotion in the job. You can learn to watch, study, read body language, almost to the point, if you get it right, of reading their mind. Imagine having the ability, we actually teach this on my live events, how to read somebody's mind. It's a combination of the mind and the body. And the beauty for that is you can position a conversation in such a way to get somebody to tell you the truth and test them. And if it's going in the direction that you don't want it to go, you can steer the conversation back. Or it might be that you choose to step away from that whole conversation because you don't feel this person's alignment, because they're not being honest with you. So this is the power of it. And of course we can start to, I've gone slightly fuzzy there, so let me come back in again. Of course, in business, talking to your customers, learning to articulate your message powerfully, using your body language to get impact. I'm not a particularly huge guy, but I can use that body language in a really powerful way. But I can also use it to read people to make sure I've got my conversation going in the right direction, so I get the best outcome from that interaction. The consequences are dire if you get this wrong. Marriage breakups, customers not buying from you, hundreds of thousands of pounds of lost business because you haven't learned to read your audience, your customers, or present yourself in the right way. So get good at it. This is an amazing skill to learn. And the last thing is really the whole point of body language, or being able to understand it, is the observation of the other person. And if you can learn to observe somebody in a really subtle way, knowing how to read them in a very specific way, knowing how to what I call get a baseline. And you get a baseline through the process of asking the right questions. Questions, their body language gives off massive clues. I mean, literally, I was demonstrating this last weekend on our CWI event, talking people through the process, and they were fascinated. We dropped them into breakout rooms where the opportunity to test it, and people were coming back going, oh my gosh, we had one chap at like 50 years of not looking into people's eyes and really engaging with them. He was literally able to see what was going on by watching their body language and their facial gestures and their breathing patterns to tell, actually that person's not telling the truth, or they didn't like what I said there. Think about that for a minute. Imagine every conversation you have, you can develop a greater and greater rapport because you're totally in synchronicity with their communication, body language, the tonality and the words that they're saying, but also what they're using from a point of view of their mindset as well. This is an incredibly powerful skill to learn. It kind of starts though with you understanding where your strengths are and your weaknesses are, and that's why I developed the CWI test. So if you haven't read it, haven't gone through the test, go and take it and then find out what the output from that is, and then I'll give you some steps to take to really maximize your skill in this area. Get this right and you'll climb the corporate ladder. Your business will explode. Your customers will come to you, whether it's through social media, through the written word, even, you can believe it or not, this can work, but even through video online, social media, speaking in front of audiences. If in your relationship, it'll bring you close together with your partner. Master this amazing skill. Reading body language and expressing yourself with a greater, more impactful body language. Dr. Rowe, signing out.